I think the guy wanted to get rich by selling a screenplay. And I'm like, that's not why I didn't become a TV writer. To become rich. I did it because I wanted to live a creative lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not filthy rich. Like, I do okay. I'm not complaining, but it's like, I didn't do it my goal was never to become rich. If I wanted to be rich, I'd do something else.
You're listening to Screenwriters Need to Hear This with Michael Jamin.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Screenwriters Need to Hear This. Today, we are talking about, the subject of today's talk is, your work is not limited to your screenplays. And I thought it was time to, hello, Phil. I thought it was time to get onto the internet. I thought it was time to get onto the internet.
It's a couple years late, Michael. I think it was publicly accessible in 94 or something like that.
Yeah. But I thought I would scold some people on the internet today. And not you, of course, brave listener, but everyone else. But I think it's important to hear this anyway.
By the way, I just have to say I had a conversation with Eric Stolhansky and Paul Soder of Broken Lizard yesterday about the subject of growing old and becoming more crotchety.
Yeah.
And just how it's a sign of age and wisdom when you complain about how things used to be and the way things are.
Yeah.
And he said, you should hear us carpooling. We're just complaining the whole time. I was like, I'm getting there. So I'm excited to hear what has got you up in arms today.
Well, it's, I started posting daily tips on, screenwriting tips, acting tips, directing, writing on social media, and mostly, Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. And, come follow me at Michael Jamin Writer. If you're not following me already, I do this every day, post every day. And so 99% of the comments I get from people are very positive and very, people are appreciative because I'm just sharing my knowledge of what I've been doing. But then there's always someone who's got a mouth off, either for attention or to show they know more than me, I guess. I don't know. And it's bad for them. And I have a lot of reasons why it's bad for them. I have a whole diatribe. But your work is not limited to your screenplays or your writing samples. Your work is everything that you put out publicly. And so that includes tweets, comments on Facebook, on social media, or whatever. It includes everything. And so, it's so easy to be snarky. But our job as writers is to create things. And so, our job is to find new ways to say old things, because everything's been said. So you want to find a new way to say something old. And snarky comments don't create, they tear down. They're the opposite of creating, they tear down. You're saying, I'm just tearing you down. I disagree with you. I'm going to tear you down. And they're not original, because being snarky on the internet is hardly you're not the first person to do it. You're just the most recent. In fact, it's unoriginal. You're the last person to be snarky on the internet, and you are telling the world that you are not a creator. But even worse, you're telling that to yourself. You're telling, because no one really cares. But you're telling yourself, I'm someone who tears down. I'm not someone who creates. And what's even worse. And what's even worse is that you can do this anonymously on Reddit and TikTok, because you don't need your real profiles there. And so then you are literally the only person in the world who knows that you are saying these negative things. You are the only person. So you think you're getting away with something, but you're not. You're telling yourself, this is who I am. This is what I do. And if you tell yourself this often enough, over and over again, I'm not a creator, I'm someone who tears down, you will start to believe it. You will start to believe that's who you are. And so who does it hurt when you are being snarky on the internet? It's only hurting you. It's not hurting me. I'm already a successful TV writer. You can't tear me down. I'm already there. I've already done it. So you're only hurting yourself. And so this is for anybody. This is for kids or young people or old people or people who are dissatisfied with their life. Just don't do it. Don't put it out there. Don't put the energy out. And I know I sound like a new age Californian when I say don't put the energy out there, but it's true. Even on a practical resource, don't tell the world. If you're a jerk, don't tell the world. Keep it to yourself. Yeah. The last thing you want to do is tell the world you're a jerk.
That just goes back to the pants test, right? That I've heard it called when you get called into the room, that you've proven that you're a good writer, they've read your script, they bring you in to meet with you to make sure they're going to be able to sit across from you for the next 6 weeks to a year while you're making the show. The pants test, keep your pants on, people. Stop taking your pants off on the internet.
Yeah, don't tell people who you are. And so, by the way, it's also super easy to Google and to find out all these awful comments and people, well, that's cancel culture. Well, if you're a jerk, no one wants to work with a jerk. Keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
If you're unhappy, keep that a secret.
I got this vision of some kid who's miffed about something that happened in their day, and when they get home, they just walk up to a bed of flowers and just stomp on all the flowers.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Because, I'm upset, and so I'm going to take it out on flowers. The beauty in the day reminds me of how dark my day is, so I'm going to go stomp on these flowers. And we talked about it in episode 15. Go ahead, I cut you off.
Well, no, I don't think people do this without being conscious of it, and it's easy to do it without being conscious of it. So that's a harder practice to develop. Is like, hey, be aware of what you're putting out there into the world. But then there are other people who leave sweet comments and they show gratitude and humility, and I always notice that because it's so rare to see somebody take the time to leave something gracious and humble and kind. It's so rare that those people stand out. And don't you want to stand out?
Well, at this time of recording, when we're recording this, you're in the middle of like a giveaway for your course. You're like, hey, just go do these things, post your script, let everyone know that you're writing, and one of you is going to get a free access to the course for life. And someone commented, they said, "This is so great you're doing this. By the way, how are your essays going?"
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a cool comment that it stood out amongst everyone else, because they know enough about you to know that that's your current passion project or your essays. Yeah. And they're asking you about that.
Yeah, actually, I was going to respond that I couldn't find that comment again. I got to find it again.
So this is in the realm of going back to my metaphor of the flowers. Like, this is the difference between I just got back from my mid-show break, so I'm no longer working on Tacoma FD. We've wrapped season 3. By the time this comes out, they will have announced season 4, and I have transitioned to being the producer's assistant on the new Broken Lizard film Quasi, which will also be announced by the time this comes out. And in between that break, I just took 4 days to hang out with my family at Disneyland with some friends that just happened to be there at the same time. And the last day, I stopped at a gas station to put gas in my car, and I watched some lady digging recycling out of the trash. This is how she makes her money. Mm-hmm. And then she had a water bottle, and she started walking towards the grass. I was like, that's cool. Instead, she just dumped it out in the middle of the pavement. And I was like, okay, but it's like the people who go out of the way to dump their water bottle, their excess water, on the plants because they know they need them. Right. Versus the person who's just dumping water in the middle of the pavement because it's an inconvenience to them. And I would say that it's not just, you're not actively being hurtful just by being hurtful, but you can also be hurtful by being passively being hurtful. Mm-hmm. Right. Reading a negative comment and not saying something is also another point to that.
I could see people, not even wanting to engage because there's some wackos out there. I can kind of see that.
I get that. I get it. But you could go the other way too, and you can leave another encouraging comment for.
Yeah, that's true.
Not just you. This is like anyone who's putting stuff out there, because anyone who's put themselves out there know how hard that is. Yeah. This is hard. Knowing that someone's going to hear me and judge the sound of my voice or the way I look is a hard thing because we all have an ego.
Yeah, and that's interesting. And even for me, it's hard too, because you're putting yourself out there. And so I applaud anybody who, who's just trying something new, because it's hard. It's, everyone's telling you, society, your friends are going to tell you, if you want to be a writer, you'll never make it. Dude, you're just be smarter if you did something more safe. Why don't you sell insurance or whatever? And these could be well-meaning people in your life, family, friends. They care about you. They love you.
Oftentimes it is, and it is because they care. If they didn't care, they wouldn't put in the time and energy. But that does not mean they're right. Right. They're doing what they think is best based on their experience. But the truth is, they probably wanted to dance or paint or sing or do something else as a child, and they got told no. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Or they tried and failed, and they're trying to save you the pain. It's all helpful from their perspective. Right. But it's hurtful in the process to you. And it's a skill set to not take that personally. Yeah, and don't let them. Yeah, it's your life. You only it's so cliche. You only get one of it. But as you get older, you realize, damn, it's slipping away. Time is passing, and you don't get to do this again. So you got to follow what your passion is, because regret. I think the regret is the hardest thing to live with. Like, even if okay, Phil, I obviously I know you want to be a TV writer or a screenwriter, and I hope you will. I hope you achieve it, but.
like at the very least, if you don't, at least you tried. At least you put yourself out there and you gave it the best shot you could. And, you know, because not trying is horrible.
Hi guys, it's Michael Jamin. I wanted to take a break from talking and talk just a little bit more. I think a lot of you people are getting bad advice on the internet. Many of you want to break into the industry as writers or directors or actors, and some of you are paying for this advice on the internet. It's just bad. And as a working TV writer and showrunner, this burns my butt. So my goal is to flush a lot of this bad stuff out of your head and replace it with stuff that's actually going to help you. So I post daily tips on social media. Go follow me at Michael Jamin Writer. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. And let's be honest, if you don't have time, like just 2 minutes a day towards improving your craft, it's not going to happen. So go make it happen for you at Michael Jamin Writer. Okay, now back to my previous rant.
I have this recurring fear or problem when it comes up. So yesterday, I went to go see Dune with some friends. We went to the Chinese theater, and it was awesome. There was nobody there. Had so much social distancing during the COVID pandemic. It was incredible. Mm-hmm. And I was watching that film, and I just have this moment whenever I watch a film that I just absolutely love, and I just think to myself, this is all I want to do.
Right.
And I know in my soul that I will think of that for the rest of my life. When I watch a show or when I watch a film that speaks to me that way, I will think, this is all I want to do. And I don't want to be 55, 60, 70, living in some affordable place to live somewhere else, watching that film, wishing I was doing this. So my commitment to you is I will make it because I have to. My soul needs to do that.
Right.
And I just know it's a matter of time. Yeah. Time, effort, and energy, and then it will happen. It's just
I've
I don't know when.
I've told you this before as well, because I've worked with many people the people who succeed, even if it takes a while, like if you want enough, if you want it bad enough, and if you work hard enough, you will get some level of success because you will break through. Now, I don't, how long will you stay at that level? Who knows? How long? But you will break through. You will get a shot.
Yeah. And
if you stick with it and you work hard enough, you'll get a shot.
We've had conversations. I feel like I can feel that shift happening for me right now, just with this new position, and I'm sure there are plenty of people in this position who felt the same way. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's the transition from being the guy who gets everyone coffee to getting one person coffee, and the types of experiences I'm having sitting in a room with the Broken Lizards reading their scripts and then watching them execute their craft at the highest level of telling jokes and changing jokes to be more funny and riffing off of each other and figuring out who those characters are. And it's the most fulfilling work I've ever done in my life because it's so close to what I want to do. And I don't care what I'm getting paid. I would have killed to be in that room, in 2001 when Super Troopers 1 came out.
Yeah.
So all of this whole conversation, right, it really speaks to something we talked about in episode 15, our last podcast, which was there are two ways to build the tallest building. There's two ways to have the tallest building: tear everyone else down or build the tallest building. And it's a lot more effort to have the tallest building. But there's a reason we think about the Chrysler Building or the Empire State Building or the Burj Khalifa. We know these things because they are feats of engineering and men and just willpower to have this stuff happen. Yeah. And we respect that. We don't respect the guy going around and like the terrorists in 9/11. We don't respect them. We look down on that. But we respect the people who built those buildings.
Yeah, right. And we were going to get to this as well, because we talked a little bit about, and I don't mean to repeat it, but I think it's important, about this Facebook group that you joined.
Yeah. I was invited by a friend to join a Facebook group, and he told me it was a really good group, and so I hopped in there and I introduced
screenwriting.
myself.
It was
on screenwriting specifically, right. And again, there's a little bit of ego at the time I joined this because I'm wrapping up my bachelor's degree in screenwriting, and I'm a Robert Redford scholar, and I'm translating for the Sundance Screenwriting Labs and translating for the Directors Labs, and I'm at a level that I think a lot of people wish they would at this time, while not a working professional. And so I get in the group and I introduce myself, and some people are really kind, and then I learn this thing that Spielberg talks about: the first shot of every film is a metaphor for the rest of the film. I was like, that's a great point. I never heard it. I think there were probably someone who would want to hear that, so I post it, and I just got crapped on by like 15 people. I thought this was common knowledge Isn't this a duh? Like, and I was just like, oh, screw you guys, I'm out. Like, it was just such a horrible experience. Like, I kind of hate those people right now thinking about it.
Now you hate them. And you know what? Even because on my TikToks or my Instagram videos, we talk about, I post once a day. Sometimes I get a comment, like some people have said, "Who are you? I never heard of you." It's like, well, how many TV writers have you heard of? Aaron Sorkin, Shonda Rhimes, who else? Anybody else?
There's Abrams.
Five of them. You can name five.
Damon Lindelof, right?
Like the rest of us, you've never heard of. We don't do it become famous. Like it's not even our intention or our goal. It's like the fact that you haven't heard of me doesn't speak that I don't know what I'm talking about. It just means it's like how many people have you heard of? It was so awesome. Funny.
Again, like I'm at a stage now where I'm concerned for that person. Like, why do you feel the need to do this? Like, what's going on in your life that you're so negative that you can't see? Like, this is who you have to be.
It could easily be like a teenager, so that's why I don't try to tear these people apart because it could be an angry teenager.
I had an experience where I had a friend who just out of the blue like got up like he was gonna fight me. Like he came at me, he stood up and he just started yelling at me in the middle of me saying something. I didn't like. This was here in LA. I'm trying to keep it as like chill, so I'm not calling anybody out.
Okay.
But it was like a friend for several years and a good guy, and I didn't like the way that they were doing something, and so I approached them to talk about it. And he got up out of his chair and he said, "You need to shut up." And he started walking towards me. But I've been in a fist fight, Jam. Like I've fought people before. Right. I know what it feels like to be punched in the face and have a broken nose. I understand that feeling. It's not as bad as it sounds. And if you're going to come at me, I'm going to step up. Like, not only that, like I do jujitsu, I do all these other things. So I know how to defend myself.
Right.
And I was so caught off guard. I just looked at him and I said, "You need to stop where you are because if I will put you on the ground if you do that." And he just kind of stuttered. And I had this conversation with another friend of mine. He's like a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. And he's just like, "Yeah, I've often thought that guy needs to be punched in the face." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, there are too many people who can just hide behind the internet and talk crap and be negative. And the truth is, if you have ever been punched in the face, you know what it feels like and you're a little less likely to be that guy."
Yeah. There's a wonderful Brene Brown.
I love Brene Brown.
Love her. So she has a special on Netflix. If you've never heard of her, go find her.
I think we brought it up a couple of podcasts ago, but it's a great point. Yeah, go ahead.
But she have a number of quotes about that I wrote about it that I've written down. But basically, one of her best things, like if you're not putting yourself out there, I don't really give a crap what you think about what I'm doing. Because if you're not playing the game, I really don't care. If you haven't tried what I'm doing, I don't care, and you don't have a voice. And so I just go watch her. She's got she has a lot of wonderful things to say.
I put this note down here, and I don't know if it 100% applies, but it really stands out to me. I'm in this business group called Warrior by this guy Garrett J. White, and it's for CEOs who have families, business owners who have families or want to have families, and about having the have it all lifestyle. It's focusing like on body, being, balance, and business, and making sure that you're really tending to all of those things. And in the subject of business, he makes you basically repeat this mantra that I am a marketer, I am a closer, I am not a savior. And he talks about how in business there are often times where you want to do good and you feel good by helping people, and you go out and you're the savior. They can't do it for themselves, and so you do it, and you're praised for being the savior. But what happens to saviors? They get crucified. And there's this weird thing that happens inside of the human psyche. When you get something you have not earned, you feel so uncomfortable, you almost lash out at the person who gave it to you.
Interesting.
And I'm wondering how much of this is this karmic debt, this sense of I have something I didn't earn, and I feel so uncomfortable with it. I have to there's a strong visceral reaction to it.
It's so interesting because I look at it. It's the same thing, but slightly differently, which is like it's imposter syndrome. The minute you get to a level and it's kind of like what you're saying, which is like you're insecure about your talent, so I will tear down someone else because I know I don't have the goods. Yeah, because I know I'm inside. I'm kind of an imposter, and you definitely get a lot of those people in Hollywood because people rise to the levels. Who knows how they get to where they are, and so you can definitely. There's definitely
Oh,
A lot of insecurity.
On this subject, I would really strongly recommend everyone reads What Makes Sammy Run. And it's about Hollywood in the golden age, and it was written by the son of like one of the founders of MGM. And he had this perspective, and he was like being mentored by these amazing screenwriters that we all know and love from that 30s, 40s era. And he talks about this guy who rises to basically run Hollywood. And he does it by stealing and conniving and getting his way. And the difference between people who work for it and people who don't, and how ultimately you get what you pay for. And that you pay with not just money, but with sweat equity, time, heart, and vulnerability, like we talked about in a previous episode.
Yeah.
It's a great book.
Yeah, and then people who get there other ways get to the, they pay that price.
And I don't want to spoil the book. It's a modern classic. It's in that collection, and it's so worth it. They teach classes on this subject because
Interesting.
it's about ego and why we operate, and it's what makes us tick, and the perspective of these conniving people that exist in the world. And they get ahead. They get ahead because they know how to play the system. But ultimately, the question becomes: do they end up satisfied with what they get?
Yeah. I do believe it's not. You don't have to be. Yeah. When I see the people, there's giant houses. Like, come on, you don't really need all that. Like I will never have. I think I mentioned this before. I will never have one of those giant houses because I will have gotten out long before then. I push my take my chips off the table, go home because I don't know. You don't need all that. You don't. There's plenty to go around without you hogging everything.
Yeah, that's an interesting too on the perspective. Like, I think there's a misconception in a lot of people that people in Hollywood are completely loaded and wealthy and they have everything. But I know amazing, talented people that are household names for many people who've made the equivalent of minimum wage for years because this industry is not designed to make everybody rich. It's designed to make a select few of people very wealthy.
Yeah, if you want to get rich, I took someone to task today on TikTok because I don't know what kind of question it was, but it was something like, I think the guy wanted to get rich by selling a screenplay. And I'm like, that's not why I didn't become a TV writer. To become rich, I did it because I wanted to live a creative lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not filthy rich. Like, I do okay. I'm not complaining, but it's like, I didn't do it my goal was never to become rich. If I wanted to be rich, I'd do something else.
Yeah. I right now could be swimming in pools of money if I took everything I know about digital marketing and just applied that. But my time has been split between taking care of the people that work for me, making sure that my partners have income, making sure that I can put a roof over my family's head, and then devoting every extra minute to the desire and the need I have to be a writer.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm okay with that. And my life's great and it's better than most. But I have those twinges of jealousy where I just think about my friends who are doing so well and live in these custom homes with ridiculous amounts of square footage. And, my back neighbors are throwing mattresses out embedded with bedbugs. And I don't even live in like a horrible neighborhood, right?
Right.
So, yeah, again, two ways to have the biggest building in the world, and one of them seems easier and ultimately steals your soul, is what I would equate it to what you were saying at the beginning of this.
Yeah, right, exactly. So that's a good place to wrap it up. But basically, again, be careful what you put out there because you may not be conscious of it, but it's seeping into your psyche.
Absolutely, it's poisoning you.
Yeah,
it's like it's poisoning every aspect of your life. You start to see the world through that lens. And it
makes you bitter. Like, it's so interesting. Even before, like, I am interested in this stuff. Like, one of the things that Einstein said is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make is the universe benevolent? Because that's Einstein who said it, right? Because if you believe the universe is benevolent, you will start seeing signs that prove that the universe is benevolent. If you think the universe is malevolent and against you, that's what you'll start seeing. You'll start seeing more of that.
I went to a Tony Robbins event, and say what you will about Tony Robbins, but he made a good point. He's like, stop thinking about how often life is happening to you, and start looking at how often life is happening for you, which is the viewpoint. And the most successful people in the world, if we just look at what they do, there is a pattern there, right? And I think I had this conversation with my sister a couple weeks ago when she was in town, and it was like, learning that there are rules to every aspect of life, that this is a game and there are rules. It's like playing Monopoly and not understanding the rules. How could you possibly win Monopoly? But there are rules to these things. There's rules to screenwriting. There's rules to dating. There's rules to attracting men and women. There are rules to finance. There are rules to every aspect of life. And if you can understand those rules and apply them, you will get the result they're looking for. It's just a recipe. And the most successful people in the world have some type of meditation or visualization practice that they're doing every single day. Right?
Oh, yeah.
They understand Think and Grow Rich. They've read that book and they've applied it. They've put time into the space of manifestation. And again, it can seem a little woo-woo like Hollywood, but I'm from the Bible Belt. I'm from the Midwest. I understand both perspectives, and still the most successful people in those worlds are doing these things.
We're going to have a whole podcast on that.
We have to, because your mindset it is the key to everything. Yeah. It is the difference between feeling motivated and having writer's block. It's all your mind. It's the way you talk to yourself, your conversations. And the Brené Brown thing is beautiful. That documentary is really beautiful because it talks about this stuff. So
yeah. Good. We got fodder for our next episodes then.
Good stuff. Well, everybody, thank you again for your time. If you got, as you know the drill, if you've got questions, you want to know more, follow Michael Jamin at Michael Jamin Writer on social media, wherever social media is. And we'll catch you in the next one.
All right, everyone, be good.
This has been an episode of Screenwriters Need to Hear This with Michael Jamin and Phil Hudson. If you'd like to support this podcast, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing this podcast with someone who needs to hear today's subject. If you're looking to support yourself, I'd encourage you to consider investing in Michael's screenwriting course at michaeljamin.com/course. I've known Michael for over a decade, and in the past 7 years, I've begged him to put something together. During the global COVID-19 pandemic, Michael had time, and I have to say, I wish I'd had this course 10 years ago. As someone who's personally invested in most online courses, earned a bachelor's degree, and actively studied screenwriting for over a decade, this course has been more valuable to me than most of the effort I've put in because it focuses on something no one else teaches: story. In his course, Michael pulls back the curtain and shows you exactly what the pros do in a writer's room, and that knowledge has made all the difference for me, and I know it will for you too. You can find more information at michaeljamin.com/course. For free daily screenwriting tips, follow Michael on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Michael Jamin Writer. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Phil A. Hudson. This episode was produced by Phil Hudson and edited by Dallas Crane. Until next time, keep writing.